Hi my friends, welcome to my weekly blog. First of all, apologies, I haven't been doing very much blogging, primarily for the last 6 months, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that now in a moment. But from now, at least for the end of the year, we're just at the end of June, beginning of July 2019 when I'm shooting this video. I want to make sure that I do a weekly blog because I know that a lot of you have been asking for me to do it. They've been asking me where I have been, and I'm going to explain this in this video. So first of all, apologies, and I am going to be doing a weekly blog for the remainder of 2019. So that's 6 more months, and then hopefully on into the future as well. So that's my commitment to you. I am here in Australia. I am in a place called the Innovation Centre. It is part of a university campus. It's a place that I've spent quite a lot of the last 4 years being inspired by startup businesses. Up until recently, I had mentored and coached a lot of them. But as many of you know, now I'm out onto the online space as well as my Young Entrepreneurs Academy, and also doing a lot of executive coaching, which I'll be able to update you with now during this blog. So again, first of all, apologies, and I look forward to serving and helping and working with you through the remainder of this year and on into the future. You know, it was 2 years ago, after having worked for nearly 27 years in the corporate world, and then another 5 years on my own in various businesses, restaurants, music bars, consultancy, owning a publication, that I was contacted because I'd really got into the coaching area, and I was coaching a lot of people down here at the startup environment of the Innovation Centre. I was coaching a lot of companies and a lot of businesses, not just here, but generally around the world. And I was approached by a woman called Maria, and she reached out to me. I didn't know her. She had just been following me on social media, and she asked if I could help her. And that began a transformation that I think now for myself, but also more importantly for a lot of the students that I've got in my academy and now on my online course. That was really the beginning of the journey. So I just wanted to recap it with this blog because I think it is going to set the scene for future blogs and future areas of engagement that I'm going to be doing on social media, and of course on my website jimmibradbury.com and other platforms. So when Maria contacted me, she asked if I could help her. She'd got a 16-year-old son who spent all of his time in his bedroom, on his computer, doing video games and various other things, and just didn't really have any sense of purpose, fulfillment in his life. And she asked if I could help. And I do remember the day well, because it's amazing, isn't it? Sometimes we have these moments in our life where you just remember a specific day. It was the 19th of January 2018, and I'm sure all of you have specific events when you can remember certain things. Like there's a few key times in my life that I can remember specific dates. 3 come to mind. 2 of them were fantastic dates, one not so good. So the first one was when my daughter Kimberly was born in 1994, and she's going to be 25 at the end of this month, July, or middle of this month in July. That was a major time in my life when I remember the date specifically really well, the 14th of July, Bastille Baby. For those of you of French culture, you'll know Bastille Day is also the 14th of July. So that was the most important day of my life. The second was when, and this wasn't such a good day, but I know people can relate to this, was 2001, the date that we all relate to in September, which was the 11th of September. I had just left New York and come back to work in London. In fact, I'd been only back 3 months, and we had the famous day 9/11. And then the third most important day was the date I've just mentioned, which is the 19th of January 2018. So I'm sure you all can relate to specific dates that were transformational or had a serious impact in your life. Those are three that were really important for me. But the third one, I was contacted by Maria, and she asked if I could come in and help her son, who was very disillusioned in life and lost his purpose, lost his meaning, and see if I could help. Now, that wasn't an area that I had a specific expertise in, but I did say that what I would do for her was I would certainly try and help, but I would also do research, because I think sometimes when you're in an area that you're not familiar with, one of the most important things that you can do is do the research. So having been in the corporate world for over 25 years and living and working around the world in great places like New York, Los Angeles, Hong Kong, India, Australia, and London, I did have, and still do today, have a lot of contacts around the world. So I reached out to those, and over a 3-month period was able to gather research from talking to and interviewing over 200 people in North America, in Canada, in Asia, in the Middle East, in Europe, and in Australia, to find out whether or not the situation I had was familiar around the world. Are the young children today all just disillusioned, don't have a purpose in life, have low self-esteem, are vulnerable, and finding the world very challenging? And the overwhelming response was that that was the situation. And the responses I were getting back was, if there was a way that we could find a solution to be able to help the younger generation be able to deal with vulnerability, to be able to deal with a lack of purpose and meaning in life, to be able to elevate that low self-esteem, then that would be a wonderful opportunity for somebody to be able to help the younger generation today. Because primarily, right around the world, the fundamental problem was that the education system today is 400 years old. It's full of bells and whistles. It's don't do this, don't sit there, don't talk to that person, when we know that the world today needs collaboration. The problems that we have in the world today are so great that we all need to work together in a collaborative way, as opposed to us and them, and don't do this, don't do that. So in an entrepreneurial way, I went out to look for a solution to the problem. The problem was the education system was broken. It isn't looking after the needs and wants of the young generation. And the young generation today are really different to any other generation before, because they've grown up with technology, they're hardwired very differently, and they are going through a world that is changing really quickly. Like, you know, they give you context of how quickly the world is changing. 5 years ago, nobody had ever heard of Airbnb, and now they've taken over the accommodation industry. 5 years ago, nobody had ever heard of Uber. They've taken over the taxi industry. 10 years ago, we'd never heard of smartphones, and now smartphones, and particularly iPhones and Androids, are just something that everybody has got to have, it seems. And 15 years ago, nobody had ever heard of Facebook, and now social media generally is dominating how it is we communicate, good and bad. But there's a whole discussion to be had around that at some other point. But this is just to give you a context of the change that's going on in the world at the moment. And the young generation are having to deal with this without the experience, without the support at times, and are feeling very vulnerable. I think we as adults are finding it quite challenging. I know a lot of the people that I coach today are finding a sense of overwhelm, that they're struggling with stress because they're just, you know, having to deal with this huge change and just general overwhelm. So with the younger generation, who are particularly affected by this because they don't have experience, somebody to be able to go out there and help them was a problem, and still is today a problem that needs to be solved, a big problem. So what I did was I gathered all that information, put together some ideas, and long story short, last year in 2018, towards the back end of the year, I set up my Young Entrepreneurs Academy, which is essentially, I go into the schools, 3 schools in Australia, one in Sydney, one in Melbourne, and one in a place just north of Brisbane called the Sunshine Coast, and teach the kids as an academy, like you would a sports academy and a music academy, the important things that are really important for them today in life that the education system don't teach, which is mindset, really understanding who it is they are, giving them a sense of purpose, because finding what makes them happy and fulfilled is really important. Being able to teach them life skills, being able to teach them about compassion and empathy and communication, being able to get them to critically think, creatively think, using their imagination, being curious, learning about investment, learning about finances, learning how to put a resume together, looking how to, you're going to be able to find a job when you leave school. All these things are really important that unfortunately kids today haven't are not being addressed by the education system. And I don't blame the schools, because certainly the 3 schools that I'm teaching in Sydney, Melbourne, and on the Sunshine Coast just north of Brisbane, they're fantastic schools. They really are awesome. And I think, in many ways, just putting on or allowing me to put on my Young Entrepreneurs Academy is just fantastic. But the problem is that they're sitting on top of an education system that's broken, and the powers to be that are supposed to be bringing the education system into the 21st century are just not doing it. And we all, I think, know the reasons why that is. But unless somebody can step up to the plate and provide an alternative, then I think the younger generation, I know the younger generation are going to struggle. So I set up my Young Entrepreneurs Academy, and I teach it in 3 schools in Australia. And to see the kids today, today when I'm filming this is a Sunday, and I've just spent the last 2 hours with the parents of one of my youngest students. He is 12 years of age, and I just spent a couple of hours with his parents and him as well, and his sister, and what he is doing and how it is he is impacting other people, and how it is he is really getting the talents and the jewels and the treasure that's within him out, and being able to make himself really happy and fulfilled by doing something that he really enjoys. For me, just coaching and mentoring him makes me very happy and fulfilled. And it's certainly not been done by the school or the education system. And I think what we need to be doing today is really getting in and understanding the young generation. Because I think if you do, and you really understand that they are very different to any other generation, because they've grown up with technology, they know how technology works. They don't need to be taught more information. They've got all the information they need in their phones. They don't need any more information. What they need to do is be able to take that information and use it in a creative way that solves problems. And if you can help the young generation in that kind of creative problem-solving way, then I think you're beginning to get onto their level. Also, we got to recognize that they're connected, no longer just as we were when we were growing up in the local community. They're connected around the world, and they know what's happening around the world because they're on social platforms that connects them instantaneously with people and events that are happening around the world. And I think we've got to understand that that opportunity, if harnessed in the right way, can give them an enormous opportunity. Certainly, like never before, and certainly I didn't have, and we didn't, my generation didn't have this kind of opportunity before, and being able to give them that and coach them and mentor them, be able to give them a strong mindset to deal with things that inevitably will be challenging for them, particularly at that young age, being able to show them how they can surround themselves with good people like their parents, be able to get a good mentor and coach, and be able to get people around them who are supporting what it is they do is really, really important. And that's what I do a lot of in my Young Entrepreneurs Academy. And then I was, and probably if you follow me on social media, you will know that last January for me was a transformational point in my life, because I was out in America with my coach, and he was asking me about the things I was doing, mainly through coaching, but also my Young Entrepreneurs Academy. And he asked me if I had ever thought about putting it online in an online course. And I hadn't really, although a couple of people had, in fairness, mentioned it to me before. And it was only when he really mentioned it to me, and because he's got a lot of experience in this space for the last 10 years, that I really kind of thought, well, if he's saying it, then I really should take this seriously. And I'm not going to names drop, but if you are interested in the online space, the person that has been very inspirational for me is a guy called Brendan Burchard. And if you are interested in the online space, you should follow Brendan. But he said to me, have I considered, Jimmy, putting it as an online course? And I hadn't really, and when he mentioned it to me, I then began to take it seriously. So when I left the States to come back to Australia in January, I spent 3 months putting together an online course, and I launched that in April. And it transformed my life, not from the point of view that it's helped me, have flexibility in terms of not now having to trade my time for the hard-earned dollar, as I've had to do for the last 30 years when I was working in the corporate world and also having businesses of my own. But it's more actually seriously about the impact that I'm now having in so many other people who are joining my online course. That's more important. And as I've said before, provided I stay healthy and fit, I have no doubt that my Young Entrepreneurs Academy online course will impact, because it is my mission for the rest of my life, 1 million people around the world. And that just kind of gives you the context that everybody can do this. The ability to be able to share our knowledge, our experience, our wisdom in a way that not just 1 or 2 people, but hundreds and thousands of people can be impacted is there for everybody. It is an opportunity that we've never had before, and mainly because in a world that we live in today, there is so much change going on. There is so much help that people need. We live in this world of a paradox, I believe, at the moment. On one hand, we see a generation or a world where it is, I believe, the greatest time ever to be alive, because when you look back at your father and their father's generation, or your mother and their mother's generation, they had it really tough. We have got so much going for us and so much abundance of opportunities, but then on the other hand, there's so many people struggling. There's so many people overwhelmed. There's so many people that are negative. And I think a lot of it is because of the leadership that's just not there in the world today, unfortunately. People who are supposed to be leading us are not stepping up. But I think if there is a way that you can help and inspire people, that's what we should be doing. We should be helping other people that really need our help by giving back our knowledge and our experience, being able to give back our wisdom. And that's what I've been doing, and particularly with the Young Entrepreneurs Academy, but now also being able to help other people take their knowledge and experience and be able to share that with the world. And also, people can monetize it. And this is an opportunity like we've never had before, because essentially we've got people around the world who need our help. 3 million new people coming online every day, new people who are coming online, of which guaranteed a percentage of those people need your help. They need your help because you've got what nobody else has got: experience, knowledge, perspective. You've got a different perspective than anybody else, and you're unique. And if you can harness that in a way that you can put it online and be able to share it with the world, then you can impact so many people. And I think that's the mindset that people need to get to today. No longer do you have to do what it is you've always been doing, trading your time for the dollar, that actually you can leverage off technology and be able to share your experience and knowledge with other people and help them. And I think the younger generation today particularly really get that. They really understand that. the bit that they don't have, and the bit that they desperately need from you and from me is our wisdom and our experience. That's what they need, because if they can get that from you, they will fast track their life so much quicker, because they've got the technology, they've got the ability to connect with people around the world. They understand how it is that they can take that experience and be able to share it with the world. That's what they need help with, and everybody can do this. Everybody can share their knowledge and experience. So with the Young Entrepreneurs Academy and my coaching of showing you how it is you can take your knowledge and experience and be able to share it with the world, that's what I have been doing for particularly the last 6, but also the last 12 months. And that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So I kind of just wanted to share that with you, because also I haven't been doing blogs because, one, I've been writing 2 books, badly needed from what people are telling me about sharing my knowledge and experience, about what I'm doing also with the Young Entrepreneurs Academy, and now also being able to help people get that knowledge and experience and being able to commercialize it online. Almost gives you 3 books, but I'm trying to get through 2 books at the moment. So that's been consuming quite a lot of my time. I've also been putting out there 4 or 5 now online courses that you will be able to find on my website, jimmibradbury.com. So that's my Young Entrepreneurs Academy online course. There is a coaching for the young entrepreneurs. There's a monthly membership program that I've also got for the young entrepreneurs. There's a monthly membership for my International Executive Academy, because essentially what now I've got is 2 academies that really my focus area: my Young Entrepreneurs Academy and my International Executive Academy, which is more for the more mature people who need help in where they're struggling in their job, or they're struggling in a business they own, or they're just struggling in life generally, where I'm able to provide executive coaching and training, and particularly with the international experience I've got from the last 25 years. So that's one part of what I do. And then of course the other part, which I think a lot of people know about now, which is my Young Entrepreneurs Academy. So those are the 2 academies, and there's various courses and programs and coaching and training that I do with those. And all of those are on my website, jimmibradbury.com, where you will be able to find all of that information. So that's Jimmi, Jimmi, Bradbury.com, where you'll be able to get all of that information. So that's kind of just put context in. Again, apologies, I haven't been around for the last 6 months, but it gives you an idea of what I've been doing. This online space is real. There's so many people you can impact, but as the last 6 months have particularly told me, there is work involved. As my coach says, if opportunity knocks on your door, don't be surprised if work answers, and there is a lot of work involved in it, but it's really good work. Because just like this afternoon when I came away from, true story now, this is true, and when I came away from the parents of the 12-year-old kid that is my youngest client or student, they said to me, Jimmi, our son, and I'm not going to mention names because I don't think it's appropriate, but our son was in a bad space a year ago, and what you've been able to do kind of gives me little chills, it really does. What you've been able to do to help him has impacted his life so much. We will forever be grateful for you. And I think for me, that is what we're here on this earth to do, is to help and inspire other people, whether they be young, whether they be old. That's what we're supposed to do. It's not about money. It's not about the big house and the big car and the big whatever. It's actually about helping and serving and impacting the lives of other people. That's why we're here on this earth. So it is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, because it gives me happiness and fulfillment. And in terms of the next steps for the remainder of this year, 2019, that's where my focus is going to be. I'm going to be providing more content on social media relevant to those 2 things that I'm doing. I'm going to be doing weekly blogs or vlogs, video blogs. I'm going to be doing a lot more of my online, really kind of making those online courses and membership programs work. If you want to get any more information about them, please jump onto my website. That's www.jimmibradbury.com, where you'll be able to get a lot more information about those. And I'm going to try and really impact as many people as possible, which we all can do, and help as many people as possible, because we now have that opportunity to do it. So hopefully all that has been brought together in context as really kind of my first blog, my first weekly blog, back on track. That's going to be a weekly blog that I'm going to be doing. So from here at the Innovation Centre in Australia, to you, thank you for being part of this journey with me. I hope that I can help and meet you one day and share my message with you and be able to help and inspire you, because that's what I want to do. Wherever you are, my message is live the life you imagine. So 3 key words for me: live, life, and imagine. And particularly the imagine with the younger generation, using their imagination. But I do think we need to live life fully. We need to live a life that we really are enjoying, because it is the greatest time to ever to be alive. And then imagine is using your imagination, being able to really help and inspire other people. So live life, imagine, live a life that you imagine. It really is my key message. Wherever you are, have a great week. And I really, really look forward to meeting you, inspiring you, and helping you. And if I can do this through this medium, as well as my social media and my website, that's helped and made me quite happy. So wherever you are, have a great week, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye-bye.